Welcome back to Clydesdale Media, where we bring you the best from the world of CrossFit. Podcasts, news, special interest, health, fitness. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button, hit the notifier so you're the first to know when we have new episodes. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Clydesdale Media Roundtable podcast. My name is Scott Switzer. I'm the Clydesdale. She is Kat Shear, and we are so honored to have Michelle Basnett with us, 2021 CrossFit Games athlete. And we want to catch up with her and see everything that she has going on in her life. But before we do that, we need to do a special shout out to our sponsor, C4 Energy. They are having a huge Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale this weekend. You can go to sellucore.com or officialextend.com to get buy one, get one half off on all products. And you can mix and match those this weekend. Great deal. That is C4 Energy, and it is officialextend.com and sellucore.com. All Extend and CellUcore products on sale. Buy one, get one half off. I'm going to grab some of those BCAAs that taste like sour gummies because that stops me from eating those, and I just drink the flavor instead. With that, we are going to jump in here with Michelle Basnett. Michelle, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I've not got a chance to meet you before, so this is our first time.
Yes.
And you were a 2021 CrossFit Games athlete out of the African region.
Yes.
But I understand that you live in North Carolina.
Yes, that's correct. So I was born in Cape Town. My family's from Cape Town, but I've grown up in North Carolina. I've been here since I was about 4.5. And so I have dual citizenship. I still have my citizenship in Africa. So I figured I would take that route as far as competing goes.
So I looked back through your history. You actually competed in the Mid-Atlantic Regional back in the last year of regionals.
No, I never made regionals. Not that I remember. But no, I was still kind of building up in my career when regionals was around. So the first elite competition I truly made was the first year we had sanctionals. So they had that Cape Town, Fittest in Cape Town African sanctionals. And that was the first elite qualified comp that I made.
I can never trust the CrossFit website. They have failed us so many times. So they have you listed as a regional athlete in 2018.
Really? Oh my God, that's wild. No, I mean, I would have loved to do regionals. I thought it was great, but I did not make it then.
There's a contradiction in your placing last year in the African region or semifinal. So the listing of your accomplishments has you as second. The leaderboard has you third.
On placement for 2022, like at semis?
2022, correct.
For semis, I placed third, not second.
So yeah, on your accomplishment side, they have you a second.
Okay.
So they're all jacked up.
They are. They're a little off there.
Ride with it. Just go with it.
Yeah, right? No, they probably should fix that.
So your parents, are they from South Africa?
Yes. Yeah. My grandparents on my mom's side were like the first generation to come over to the States. So all of my family before that was born and raised in Cape Town. And so I was really the first generation raised in America because I've mainly grown up in just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. And then I've recently gone back the last couple of years to compete, which has been amazing because I've gotten to see a lot of family and just experience Cape Town at an older age. So I love it over there.
Yeah, that's so cool. So what would you say are the main differences between South Africa and here in the States?
I think just as far as CrossFit goes or competing, is that what you mean?
I mean, just life in general.
In general, I feel like there's definitely more challenges in Cape Town. Like I probably can't truly speak on it because I don't live there day to day, but just seeing how my family lives and, there's definitely different challenges. and it's a third world country. So like, for instance, they have what's called load shedding, where the power will go out for like 2 to 3 hours at a time in different spots of the country, because they're trying to save energy and kind of, I guess, make up for some bad decisions in the past. But then people have to deal with that. So even, people that have businesses, their power's out and they just have to sit there, wait it out. It's things like that we just don't experience on a day-to-day. That makes life more challenging. I don't want to truly speak on it because I don't know as much, not living there, but I do know that it's definitely a different lifestyle. And there's a lot going on for sure.
Yeah, we are definitely not a political show, and I wasn't trying to go down the political route. So you chose to compete over there. Total transparency, do you do that because you feel you have a better shot in that region than here in the States? Or
yes.
do you just want to represent that country?
A bit of both. Initially, when they changed the rules and you could decide to compete kind of based off of nationality, I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can do it through Cape Town. I had to get my documents in order and make sure that it was legit as far as CrossFit goes. And 2021, I guess 2019 is when they really started that. And then 2020 happened, and then 2021, I went that route because it was less competitive. At the time, there was only maybe like top 5 that it was really between. And it was truly Michelle Morand and Dina Swift and me that were kind of going head to head for that spot. And then this year, a lot more people caught on to the idea. There was people from like Oregon, I think the girl that took second was from Australia. And so I think I came into it at a good year for sure. I'm really happy I got to represent South Africa. My dad, I got to hold the flag at the games, and like, he was so happy about that, to see that. And I got to compete in front of my family over there, which was amazing. But initially it was, okay, this is definitely like a easier route comparative to the States, just because there's less athletes, or less competitive athletes in a sense. But I think this year it was a little bit harder for sure, and more people caught on to the idea.
Yeah, for sure. So with all the changes now, and the looking at the strength of each continent, and there's the 17 spots that are going to get dispersed based on how strong those fields are, do you think that's a good change moving forward? And do you think that Africa has a shot to get something more?
So you might have to explain the 17 spots to me, because is this like the new rule book? I haven't truly looked into it, so I might need a bit of a breakdown there.
So they did away with the last chance qualifier. Okay. So those 2 spots, they have shrunk the North American semis to 2 semis, and there's only 5 guaranteed spots in each one.
Oh, wow.
So those extra 10 are up for grabs. And then Europe is down from 10 to 5.
Okay.
With 1 semifinal. And so that leaves 17 spots that depending on strength of field for each continent, those 17 will be distributed.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily the numbers given out last year. It can, if they determine that the group of women in Africa are stronger than Europe, they can give more spots to Africa now.
Oh, that's great. I think they should give more spots. Even this year, I think they should have given more spots. Like I said, the field was more competitive. We had more athletes out there. And just in general, I don't think the whole 1 spot thing was very fair. So for team, for individual. So if they gave Africa another spot, I think it would be great. I'd like to see it. But I mean, we'll see. I guess it just depends. I do think, I guess Africa doesn't pull a lot of visibility as far as CrossFit goes, as far as watching the competitions, but they have a huge community over there, a great community, and it's building and it's growing. And CrossFit in itself, like in Cape Town, there are tons of CrossFit gyms. And then like I traveled up the coast this year when I was there, and even up the coast in like this small town where my grandma lives, there's a dude running a box and just absolutely crushing it, so the presence is there. I just don't think that they've been given enough spotlight from CrossFit. So I would like to see another spot, and I'd like to see a little bit more credit towards those guys because they are really doing a great job.
So what it's based on is they're going to create a world ranking for every athlete. So you will have a world ranking based on last year's open, last year's quarterfinals, last year's semifinals, the games, and then I think 2 years ago. And as the year progresses, the oldest one will drop off and the newest one will be added on.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know. So how will that really affect you as an athlete? Is it kind of one of those things that we have to get through the season to understand it? Or is it like you need to push a bit harder in the open? What does that really do for us?
So the open's going to matter a little more because based on your ranking in the open, that will factor into your world ranking. And so like if you and Michelle Moran move up the world ranking, that gives you a greater chance to get more than one spot in Africa.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
The other complicating factor though, I think, is that you have to declare where so like if I think, Michelle, you automatically would be South Africa, right? Even though you live in North Carolina. And if you wanted to compete in the Mid-Atlantic region or in that Eastern region for the US, you would have to apply for an exemption to be able to compete in North America based on that. And it's kind of, we're not quite sure where the best advantage would be for an athlete, right? If South Africa is only going to get one spot, then you have to win that spot, right, to get to the games. But if North America's strength of field is better and they get, let's just say, all 17 spots, maybe you have a better chance of qualifying for the games in North America, right? And the problem is you have to decide before any of that happens. And then once you do decide, that's where your strength of field is established. So in other words, if you decide to declare, your citizenship as your place, then how you do will affect the strength of field for your continent.
Okay. Yeah. It's making sense to me. I'm like, this is the first I'm really hearing about it. I know that the rule book came out. I haven't had a second to like really look at it, I guess. But I think two sides to it for me is that the first one, like every time CrossFit changes their season, it's almost like, to me, it's a tester, right? So we all really don't know how this is going to go and how it's going to play out. And so this is the first year that they're doing that. So I'm more interested to see really what the outcome looks like. It does make me kind of think, all right, maybe one way or another. I don't know about an exemption, but I know that when I sign up for the open, I have to choose, what region I go for. And then as far as like Africa goes, it's still, I still don't know if that's like a fair basis or not, because those guys are very limited on their resources, like what they can even get into the country. Like I know for semis, like I think Noble sent out packages to semis and like everywhere except for Africa, because you can't even like mail stuff in there half the time. So just in general, like equipment and resources, like I don't think that they have equal opportunity in a sense. And, being a sponsored athlete over there is even more rare than it is in the States. And at this point, you have to be in the gym 4+ hours a day to be keeping up with this elite level. So I can kind of see where maybe it'll even out the field a little bit, but spot wise, I don't know that I necessarily agree with it, because like I said, those guys in Africa, like they work hard, and I think they have to put a lot more into it than people in the States, are just like where CrossFit is a bit bigger.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, even in the States, there's debate over East and West. So they have divided the United States by the Mississippi River. Okay. And if you live on the east side, you're in the east. And if you live on the west of that, you're on the west. And people have run kind of numbers that the east is way more is much stronger than the west.
Right.
And that there are people considering moving across the Mississippi to get into the West. However, they may have less opportunities to get in. The West may only have 5 spots and the East may have 15 spots.
Right.
So where do you want to go?
But so where do I want to go?
No,
Or
I'm just
just in general. Okay.
hypothetically, that's the debate here in the States.
So at what point, or is it going to be decided on who gets what? Like after open signups? Is that the determining factor?
I think it's going to be after quarterfinals potentially, because it's going to be based on last year's data and up to whatever we get to at this point in the 2023 season's data.
Okay, interesting.
But I think you have to have moved by,
right,
I think, the first week of the Open.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. And I guess that applies for teams as well, right? Or is teams a bit different?
Teams has changed too.
Okay. Yeah. I've gotten a few like team offers this year, and I was maybe debating going team, but I mean, I don't know. I love Indy, so.
So team is just it. You have to work out in the same affiliate for all levels: Open, quarterfinals, and then of course semifinals would be wherever they send you. But there's no requirement to live within 100 miles. There's no requirement like that. You just have to do the workouts in the same CrossFit affiliate.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess that's like
it's kind of back to super teams.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So Benji's dropping the knowledge here. CrossFit said that athletes will know where they compete when they sign up for the Open.
Okay. So
but you won't know the spots until
after,
I believe. That's my understanding.
So then you couldn't really have the opportunity to move then, right? Unless you moved before the Open.
You're kind of taking a bet, right? You're taking a risk.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things that like we're gonna have to do it and see how it pans out. But it's, to me, I feel like since 2018, 2019 is when they did sanctionals, right? Or when they came away from regionals. Was that the year?
Yes.
Yeah. Like every year since then, it's been changing. And so I think it would be nice to just like have something solid again, so people can like plan a little bit better and like plan their lives out. I mean, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the plan now, is this is going to be it going forward. I know we've been told that like 7 times in the last 8 years.
Right.
But I do think this is kind of what it's going to be going forward.
Cool.
Let's talk about Born Primitive. We had that pop up as we were talking there. Are you still a Born Primitive athlete?
I am, yes.
So what all goes into that? I know we've had Allison Scuds on, we've had Bethany Shadburn on. Do you get to design any of the clothes, or is that a dream of yours?
So with BP, like individual lines, I think are more, just if you want to do something like that. I've never really dabbled into that with BP as a company. I think eventually down the line, having something like that would be awesome, but that would probably be something that I would want to headway on my own in a sense. But I love BP. I love wearing them to compete. Like they've been a great company, great sponsor company. They were the first sponsor that I really had. So a lot of my competitive background, like, is thanks to them just supporting me through it.
They have the cutest bras.
They do. Yeah. And they just keep coming out with good stuff. So
yeah, I really like their bras a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. And now they have like Scott Panchek. And so they have men's lines as well. So they're doing it all up now.
They're growing. Yeah. Yeah. They're expanding and everything. So I know that they're doing well.
So I want to talk about this past season just a little bit. And that is, you went into the semifinals in Africa. You were pretty much touted as the favorite, and it came down to a pretty close race. What did you learn this year?
This year was interesting to say the least. I don't think I did any. Yeah, I really didn't speak on semis after this year. I haven't done any like podcasts or anything like that. And it's taken me a couple months to kind of reflect on it. I had to definitely make some changes post semis. Like I've switched coaches. I've been switching up my training environment a little bit. But for me at semis, I definitely think I was coming into it Yeah, I know you said the favorite, but like not really. Taking the African spot last year was not something that I think the community necessarily wanted. I think they wanted to see someone that was, living in Africa and doing that there, which is fair. So as far as support on that side goes, like it wasn't really there. And Fitness in Cape Town has always been one of my favorite competitions. Run by a local guy, and this year we had 2 new guys come in and run it, and it was just, to me, it was just not the same competition. I think the standard lacked a lot. Even the CrossFit workouts that were implemented for all semis were not held to the same standard for us as other semis. And so I really had to fight against some gravity on the field, and just it was a little bit more of a challenge than I expected. Not so much with the workouts, but maybe the environment. And I learned a lot, and I think it was good that I didn't qualify this year, because again, I really needed to make some changes as far as coaching goes and training environment and things like that. Pre games and everything, I've worked full-time in a gym and worked, coach full-time, trained full-time leading into the games. And so that just led to like a pretty big burnout coming off the games. And I never really took a break in my season leading into 2022. So it forced my hand in a break a little bit, which was good. And so since then, I've really like taken a step back, learned a lot, added some variety to my training, and I'm excited for this next season.
So you announced on your Instagram that you were not going to do the last chance qualifier, even though you had qualified for it. Mm-hmm. How hard of a decision was that? Or were you just fried at that point?
I have like major FOMO. Like even I had Zalos like 2 weekends ago, and I was going back and forth on like doing it or not. And I think for me as an athlete, I just expect a certain standard. And if I feel like I can't hit that, then it's almost not worth it. But I'm learning to be a little bit more open-minded when it comes to that. And so for the last chance qualifier, I was pretty tapped at this point. Coming off the games and going into this season, I really didn't take a break. I didn't understand that that was like a thing. And so, like I said, it was good that it kind of forced my hand, and I didn't feel like I could perform well in the last chance qualifier. So I pulled out.
So you said you switched coaches. Who are you with now?
I am with Matt Torres, which is Brute Strength down in Naples, Florida.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. So I've learned a lot. It's definitely like a different approach to training, which is nice. And I'm still building back into things and kind of adjusting as I go. But so far it's been really good.
So he's like super geeky scientific about his training. Is that a new experience for you?
Yeah. I think it just gives me a lot more perspective. I think, like I said, I think I just had this like almost unrealistic expectation that I kept up for a while, but then obviously like it led to a pretty big burnout. And so I've had to learn to come away from that and like understand that not every day is going to be up here, right? Like everybody has highs and lows, and you just have to learn how to roll with that, especially when it comes to training. So yeah, I just went to Brute Camp 2 weekends ago and definitely got some knowledge bombs there.
Knowledge bombs. I love it.
So that leads me to the first major question. That is, are you going to continue to be remote, or are you going to make the move to Naples?
As of right now, I'm remote. I would love to eventually go to Naples, but I know it's a little bit tight down there. Their gym's not massive, and he already has quite a few athletes training. So I think eventually that's the goal. Right now, as I'm building back into my season and off this burnout, I think this is a good spot for me. And I've found like a good training environment and some competitive athletes in my area that I've been going to and working out around, which has been super helpful as well. So
do you work out in an affiliate?
Right now I've just been bouncing around. My main gym that I was going to, CrossFit Cornelius, been there for like 7 years. I don't know, 8 years, like since I was 17. but I just need more of that competitive environment, people that are doing what I'm doing. So I've dropped in at a few different gyms in the area.
Where are you in? Are you in North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina.
Whereabouts?
So Charlotte, about 25 minutes outside of Charlotte, north of Charlotte.
Got it. Okay.
Lake Norman, Cornelius area.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we did a meet the athletes of the semifinals in North America, and there are a ton of regional or semifinal athletes in North Carolina.
Mm.
It seemed like every other interview we did was someone from North Carolina.
Yeah. There are quite a few here.
Are those some of the people you're kind of dropping in with?
Definitely trying to. Some of the semis like around me a lot of them are either guys. The girls are a bit further away. But there's some really good local comps that I try to go to, which will give me that experience or that exposure. I did Crash Crucible a few weeks ago. JR puts on that competition. I try to do it every year. I love it. And then there was the Charlotte Classic by Taylor Self this past weekend. And I didn't compete in that one, but obviously like quite a few semis girls and got to be around that environment. So it's a little bit more of a distance trying to find girls to train with. But
okay. Train with the boys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to get as much exposure as I can right now. I think it's helpful. And it's not even like necessarily doing the same workout and like going head to head. It's just like the energy of the gym and having people, because you're in there for a couple hours, just being around like-minded people that I think is super helpful.
So it's funny, you were at the Charlotte Classic and one of our loyal listeners, Travis from Vindicate, was there with his merchandise, and he said he found your phone and returned it to you so no one stepped on it.
That probably did happen. Yeah, I love CrossFit competitions. I got a little excited. I was probably just running around.
That's great.
Well, that's great. So I also am detecting, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you seem to be pretty hard on yourself, that you expect a lot. How is working with Torres, who is someone who really wants you to start to know yourself better than you ever have? Do you think that's the key component you need?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely given me different perspective, and just kind of like opened me to different perspectives. So I don't know that I've like fully wrapped my head around that. I think I'm just like growing as a person in general this year, not just as an athlete. And so it's nice to have that support from that and just give me different outlooks on things. Even little things like I used to, if I'm, had 7 sets on a lift and I missed 3 of them, I would just go until I hit all 7, and he's like, hey, dude, if you don't hit 7 today, you don't hit 7 today. Like, let it be, and so it's just little things like that I think over time will stack up and maybe take some pressure off myself that I maybe put on there. But I think CrossFit is it's just grown so much, and everybody's trying to keep up and stay with the level, and it just keeps getting better. And so it's hard not to put expectations on yourself in this type of sport.
Yeah. But I can just see this being a very good fit for you. What was it like? And I don't know what your situation was before, but was it a sense of relief to find a coach that is paying this much attention to what you're doing?
Yeah. I think it was a relief to acknowledge the burnout and learn to give myself a little bit more grace in that. And I think Matt definitely supported that, because I don't know that I would have found that on my own. It was definitely a tricky few months after semis. And like, I got to a point where I didn't even want to step in a gym. And so to build back up to, wanting to train and do, 3-4 hours in the gym again, which I'm still getting to, is great. Because I mean, it's what I've done the last 5-6 years and I love it and I want to continue to do it. So I do think Matt's been like a great person to help me through that.
So one of our listeners wants to know, what's an average day in the life of Michelle look like?
So right now I at some point in my day, I train. If I try to get it done in the morning, if not the afternoon. I'm at about 1 session a day right now. So I like to get my sleep. That's definitely priority for me. So I'll sleep until like 7 or 8, sometimes 8, get up. I like to do a slow morning, make my breakfast, make my coffee. Pre-games, I got my real estate license, and then I started games training. So I let that kind of weigh to the side. And so recently I've picked back up my real estate license and like getting back into reactivating that to do it on the side slightly. Do a little bit of work, make lunch, or head to the gym, just depending on the time of day. And then my sessions right now are 3 to 4 pieces, typically a lift, a good like Metcon cardio piece, some accessory, or some skill work. So pretty basic. But coming off the burnout, I had to pull my sessions down to like almost nothing and slowly build back up. So I've yet to get back into 2 a days. I feel like when I'm ready to take that on, we'll take that step. But gym, hit my protein shake, make sure I get that 3rd meal. And then I typically will, I clean a lot throughout the day because I also cook a lot. Clean up. I like a good tidy space. And then
so not clean a barbell, but clean your house.
a bit of both, but yes.
Okay. All right.
I love a clean environment. It like makes my head feel better. So yeah, and then I'll make dinner, have some chill time, either do some editing, post on Instagram. In a sense, I got to keep that up, and read, and then go to bed. Nothing crazy. I'll try to get out with friends when I can, and things like that.
So I was actually chatting with Ariel Lowen last night, because she is showing her new house and how organized she is. And I teased her and I said, "Are you one of those people with a label maker? Are you one of those people?"
I'm not, but like, I think if I could, I would. I don't know. I haven't taken it to that level. I just everything has to be in its place. You know what I mean? It just has to feel nice, and then I'm okay.
Yeah, she has like every spice jar is labeled. Every drawer is, just
that's good shit. I like it.
Yeah, I can't even get my wife to like close the cabinet doors. If I could just get that, I'd be good.
Because I know what I'm getting Michelle for Christmas.
Right? Label maker in your stocking.
Right?
So because of the burnout, is there any plans to do like any of the off-season comps like Wodapalooza?
So I wasn't planning to do Wodapalooza, and then I had a team reach out because one of their girls dropped, and so they asked if I wanted to join. So I'm joining their team for the elite division, which is awesome. I'm excited. I love Wodapalooza. I think it's a great competition. So that was kind of a last minute decision. So as of right now, I'll do that and then just get ready for the Open and see how it goes.
Are you able to announce what the team is, or is it still under wraps?
Yeah, I don't remember their name because they had a name before I came on. But Ashley and Zoe, I don't know Zoe's last name. I think Ashley is Shoemaker. One of her husband's one of the Brute coaches. Okay. Yeah. I just met Ashley like 2 weeks ago. So that's the team.
Okay, cool.
Nice. Ashley's a stud.
Yeah. Cool girl. I like her.
I'm looking at my notes real quick. So I noticed on your Instagram that there are times that you train doing boxing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that something that helps combat the burnout? Just something different to kind of go in, get some frustrations out, let her rip?
Yeah. I don't know really where it came about, but I think like 3 years ago, I went down to Miami and I trained with Steffi Cohen, and she was just getting into boxing, and she just let me like pop into one of her sessions, and I thought it was so cool. And then I found a guy in my area to train me, and so like I said, there was a point where I just didn't even want to be in the gym. So it gave me another like physical outlet that wasn't so hard on my body. And funny enough, like the coordination of it, I struggle with. Like it is so like I can punch, but like hands to feet to like fast dodging. I mean, that shit gets very tricky. So I'm enjoying challenging myself in a new way that's like physical, but also it's not like I'm absolutely dead the next day, you know, with like CrossFit training. So that's kind of where that came about for sure. But I do like it. And I've only been able to do it here and there once a week or so. If I could do it more consistently, I would. But I think it's a great sport.
It definitely works a different part of your brain.
Yes.
You know, than CrossFit, because like reaction time is not something that we test in CrossFit, right?
Yeah. And like the coordination of it is just insane. Because right now I'm still learning like punches and like going very slow. Like I can't even imagine what it's like actually like to get punched in the face. That's what I was saying to my coach the other day. He like kind of hit me like because I missed a block or whatever it's called. And I was like, oh shit. Like that was like a little love tap. Like
a glancing blow. Yeah.
Like if it actually got like knocked, you know? So I don't know.
Getting hit in your face is not a goal, is it? Like you're not going to.
But if I were to like get me punching someone in the face, I'd be open to that. Like, okay.
We could probably get some volunteers, I'm sure.
Knock it off the bucket list, you know.
If anyone would like Michelle to punch them, just add it to the comments below. We can make that happen.
Oh, that might get weird. I'm not going to lie. We might need to be careful with that.
That's great.
Yeah, I got that out of my system when I was a bouncer in a bar in college.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot easier when your opponent is drunk to be able to avoid the punches. It makes it a lot easier anyway. But yeah, I can't even imagine getting punched in the face.
No, I can't either.
I got punched in the face once.
Have you really? How was that?
Yeah. So quick little story. I was probably 10 years old and my neighbor friend was 12. She had a little brother who was 10. It was the middle of the winter. They had made this really cool, like snow sled trail in their backyard. And we were all taking turns on like our super tubes going down the trail. And I think I butted in line in front of like this kid, the younger brother. And I went down to the end of the trail and I got up and I picked up my super tuber and I walked back and he came up to me and he just clocked me right in the face.
Oh.
He had those little super freezer gloves on, the ones that change color in the cold, you know, like hit me right here. And then my brother grabbed him and like threw him against a barbed wire fence and that was over. Yeah, that's
solid.
Literally like boom, right in my face.
One day, maybe.
That's cool.
Yeah. Leave it to Kat to be the badass.
Right?
So what are your goals for this season?
Truly, I just want to have like a healthy season. I think last year was just very heavy and like majority of it was burnout. Before the open, before quarterfinals, I kept going back and forth. Like, I'm going to do it. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. And so I just want to be in a good place if I'm going to go through it the whole season. And I think I have a better support system now, which is great. And so I just want to make sure that it's enjoyable again. And I'm doing it in a healthy way. And that's like my base goal. If it comes out that, you know, I place well or I do well, great. But I think that's more secondary for me this year.
So you're kind of taking the pressure off yourself a little bit.
Yeah. I just want to enjoy the sport again. I think it got a little bit hectic for me.
So do you have more like a 2-year plan, maybe?
Yeah, possibly.
Everything has to happen this season kind of a thing.
Yeah. When I came on with Matt, I was like, dude, I'm so far from competing. Like, this is so bad. But I've progressed a lot further than I expected. And, you know, for me, like, I've never really been an open athlete. Like, I peak more towards semis in general. Like, I love in-person competing. So I always kind of look at that as my tester in a sense. It might be different this year since everything's changing and I might have to adjust for that. But I'm not so much as like putting too many expectations on the season. I just want to do it in a way that, again, I enjoy and I think is healthy and moving me forward.
So what kind of athlete are you? Are you more of a gymnastics athlete? Are you more of a power output athlete?
Definitely a power output, barbell, heavy lifting, Please don't make me run anywhere. Yeah.
You fit in really well with us.
I love the barbell. Like, yeah, I've enjoyed that. But I mean, running has been very present in the games the last couple of years. So it is something that I definitely need to work on and bring up as far as being an athlete goes.
Yeah, but that's so you can do that, right? I mean,
yeah,
you can build endurance and sort of get used to those other things. It's when you think about some of the better athletes that have holes, the ones that have strength holes tend to expose themselves a little bit more than others. So
yeah,
awesome. Like it's not a bad hole to have.
No, I agree. And when I got into CrossFit, my first, I did it just to, be healthy and look good in high school. And then my first 2 years out of high school, I did Olympic lifting and competed in that. And that was really where my base came from. And I'm so glad that I have that because like cardio I can build up, but like strength takes so much longer. So I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
So what was your athletic background before CrossFit?
So growing up as a kid, like I didn't like sports, didn't want to do anything. My brother was like great soccer player. I would go to all of his travel games and I'd just be chilling on the sidelines, perfectly fine. It wasn't until about 12 or 13, I think my mom was like, all right, we got to do something here. So I got into tumbling, which led into competitive cheerleading. And I did that through middle school and high school, which I loved. Like competitive cheerleading was great. And then senior year of high school, my team kind of fell apart and I didn't know what to do. I wanted to still stay in shape and whatnot. And so my dad introduced me to CrossFit. And that was the first time I'd ever seen a barbell. And like, I had no idea what any of it was. I hated it at first. And I think my first open, like I did ring muscle ups and my coach was like, what? Like what? And I didn't even put my scores in because I just didn't understand the concept of everything. And then I think it was the following year that I was like, oh, cool. And then that's kind of how it all started. So, but I've never really been a competitive person. It's almost had to grow in me a little bit.
Were you a flyer or a base?
Base. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was not going up in the air.
My daughter was a flyer for a very long time.
Nice. That's awesome.
Did you travel around? Was it like a travel gym where you went to like Summit and Worlds and all that nonsense?
Yep. All that stuff. I loved it. I loved the tumbling. Yeah. And then honestly, the lifting people, I think that's why I picked up weightlifting so well because it like transferred over really well. So absolutely. Yeah.
That's cool. I actually told Scott before we came on air, my daughter's a senior in high school. She hasn't cheered. She stopped cheering at middle school and started sports. She did cheer from like the time she was 6 until middle school and then switched over. And she misses cheer so much that we're going back to her cheer gym tonight for a visit, like a little homecoming visit to see her coaches. So it's funny.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great sport.
I told her, I said, why don't you just like do a half year team this year or something? She's like, Mom, she's like, I have lost all my flexibility. She's like, I cannot do a scorpion. There's no way. I'm like, well,
would she do any like school cheer? Like join
around here, that's not really like
there.
Super
it's
cool.
Not really a thing. Yeah.
No, I mean it is, but it's not. And she was doing like volleyball and softball and all those other things. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm excited to see everybody tonight. It'll be cool.
That's awesome.
Lots of bonding happening, like in those weekends and that travel and on the floor and the trust of the teammates and everything. She did a lot of growing up through that whole period. It's a cool. It's not for everybody, but it's cool.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm just surprised how many people come from All-Star Cheer that are in CrossFit that we talk to. It's way more popular than you would think.
Yeah, cheer and gymnastics. I just think the tumbling, the flipping, having body awareness when you're upside down just creates such a good base for you. I just think that helps so much when you're moving into like weightlifting or the type of gymnastics we do. So it makes a lot of sense, you know?
Yeah. So you said you got into CrossFit because you wanted to look good, not because you were competitive. When did the competitive switch flip for you? What was there a moment?
Let me think. I don't think so. I mean, like when I did my first elite competition, that was the goal. Like at the time, it was like, all right, I want to get to that elite level, and then you get to that elite level, and then I placed, I don't know, maybe like middle of the pack, and then I was like, okay, like for me it was just like I always just want to do better. It's taken a long time for me to understand what that competitiveness means to me, and I think when I compete in person, that's where it kind of grows, is when you're on the floor and tension's high and you're down to, like, me and Michelle Morand were tied day 2 on workout 5. And that was basically, that's who's going to take the ticket, was where our points were at, was whoever won that workout. And so, yeah, for me, that's kind of where it grows, and it's still building in a sense, but, I don't know. It's just competitive. Like I'm competitive for fun. I'm not always competitive for like a win in a sense. And I think that's what I'm trying to grow into.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm having just okay. So, but you're really hard on yourself. So you more competitive with yourself than you are against other people.
Yeah, I guess so. I just don't think I've had enough experience against other people. So for me, like I've trained like same gym, same coach. I trained by myself leading into the games. And so I just haven't had enough exposure to different things. And maybe that's where that comes from. And that's why this year, like I've traveled a lot. I got to do that Italian comp and compete with other athletes. I've bounced around to different gyms, even just going down to Naples to this brute camp and seeing what other athletes do. Like that's really put some perspective out there for me. So I think it's just because I almost was like in a box for a little bit too long, doing my own thing. And now I'm growing out of that.
So with your previous coach, and you don't have to name who it was, we're not here to like cause drama. Did you do a lot of workouts alone?
Yeah. Yeah. Majority of the time. I think the only time I'd really work out with people was if somebody was like, hey, can I come work out with you? And I was like, sure. But I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be a semis level person in any sense. And then I had a girl train with me leading into semis this year, but she had never competed before. So it's like a body next to me, but the challenge of racing someone or like being in that intense environment, I hadn't had enough exposure to. And when me and Michelle were racing workout 5 and we were going head to head, like I definitely felt that. I was like, oh, this feels way too uncomfortable for me. Like I didn't know how to handle it or approach it, and it was more intimidating than it was comfortable. And so now I'm like, okay, well, I want to replicate that a little bit more and not just in competition.
It's the reason I ask that is I go to Christy O'Connell's gym, and she almost retired because of burnout of working out by herself all the time. And it wasn't until she found workout partners in Dan Bailey and her husband, and that it was okay to work out with them, that she found the love for the sport again. And it was more community than competition. Right.
Yeah. And I don't think that you need to be doing that every single day, day in and day out, racing someone or comparing yourself or, because that in itself can get detrimental, but like having that ever so often throughout the season and not just in competition is great. For me, getting into some of the other gyms in my area, like there's other guys and girls, like I said, training for semis or just being in the gym for hours, like that has helped me. It's like revived me a little bit, being around that energy and that community has helped. So I'm kind of just following along with that into the season. And I hope it continues to, be enjoyable for training.
Well, those are all the questions I have. Kat, do you have anything else?
No, if I go to North Carolina this summer, I want to come visit. I want to see you.
Come visit. I'm here. Yeah, I'm down.
I'm sure I'll be there for baseball at some point in time. So I'll check it out.
Perfect. Let me know.
Yeah. All my in-laws live in Charlotte.
Oh, really? Have you ever been?
I have several times.
Yeah.
So
like
one of my cousin-in-law, it was a Mecklenburg police officer.
Okay. Nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so we used to go down there all the time for family reunions and stuff.
It's a good area and it's developing quite
It
a bit.
is.
So yeah. I've also been here like my whole life. So I'm enjoying seeing other things.
Yeah. Well, if you ever
Yeah.
make it up to Delaware, let me know. That's where I am. Scott's in Columbus. So
Sick.
keep
I
us in-
love it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's anything we can do for
Awesome.
you, let us know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the podcast. It's been awesome.
It's been fun getting to know you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Yes. Sounds good.